So here we have Dipsis lutescens. It's called the golden cane palm, and I'll show you why. Here's another one over here, and you can see that the cane on the plant turns to a beautiful golden color as it grows up. Very beautiful palm. It's native to Madagascar, and there's so many nice things about this plant. It's very delicate looking. It has a very fine texture to it, and it's extremely soft. There's no thorns to speak of on the inside. So it's a pretty tough plant. Now you'll see it's probably one of the most common palms grown throughout the tropics. Now it can get really big. Outside the tropic, it's an extremely popular plant for interior culture because it's so well adapted to interior culture. But a lot of people come back from the tropics and they want, it was also known as areca, but they changed the name to Dipsis lutescens some years ago. But people still refer to it as the areca palm, and you can see how tall they get. Here's one in a pot that's probably about 12 feet tall. And then across the way, over in the backdrop, there's a very large plant, and it's probably 35 feet tall with multiple stems. Now the stems, when they get in full sunlight, they'll lose their golden cane color. As you can see, there's really no golden cane there. It turns to a gray. The sunlight kind of burns that off, except maybe on the backside where the sun doesn't hit it. You can't really grow this plant so well outdoors in Northern California. There are people who grow it in Southern California, like in LA, you'll see some. You'll never see them as pretty in LA as you see them in the tropics. They just never get that beautiful. They look okay. But if you want to grow one outside, I'll tell you how to do it. It makes a wonderful potted plant, as you can see. Really non-demanding. Now the stores, you'll find this thing commonly in stores. We don't even really sell this plant, truthfully. You have to go to Home Depot or something and get lucky. We might have it every now and then. But a great way to use this plant in Northern California is to put it in a situation like this. I'm in Dominican Republic right now. They don't have to do this. They can plant this plant anywhere. But in Northern California, if you had an overhang like this, right here, then you could put your plant under the overhang, onto your patio, and put it in a pot, and it would do totally fine. It would look just as good as this plant does right here. So that's a great way to protect it from all of the cold and the wind and even the blistering sun that sometimes we get. You know, the tropics really never gets above like 90 degrees in most of these places. And even when it does, it's high humidity, whereas we get to 100. Even San Francisco got to 107 degrees about 2 years ago. It was record setting. And when that happens, we have a lower humidity, so plants tend to burn in the summertime harsh sunlight just as much as they would freeze in the winter cold. But as long as you can keep the temperatures above about 28, 32 degrees, which it will almost always be under a structure like this in low elevation California, meaning like below 2,000 feet, then you can have a situation where you can grow these plants in a pot. And if you're determined to grow this plant outside, not under cover of roof, say like along a foundation of a house, you can use the structure of the house itself, like here, a situation like this where it's near the house, and it'll be a warmer situation in the wintertime, so we'll tend to freeze less. But that is the golden cane palm. People always come back from vacations and they want to buy this plant for me, and I say, well, sorry, you really can't create the beautiful hedge that you saw on Maui in the Bay Area. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it. Sometimes what we can do is we can get clusters of king palms, like lots and lots of king palms together in one cluster, and they can kind of create the same effect. And they will also dwarf each other because the king palm does tend to get a little taller and bigger than the golden cane palm. You see in the tropics, it's a wonderful plant to use as a hedge, a privacy hedge between properties, because it gets that multiple trunk. It's always sprouting up. And if you really want to grow a vigorous one, all the stores usually sell these plants. They put lots and lots of seeds in one pot together like this. It's called community planting. What the plant really wants is to have one seed in one pot and one plant in one pot, and then it won't have to compete as much with the other plants. and then it'll become much more vigorous, and it will actually make the same similar cluster as you'll get from multiple seeds, but you'll have a much more vigorous plant. And if you do plant it, one plant per pot, you'll end up with more of a situation like this one here. This is actually, this looks like a couple different plants, but you'll end up with a big fat trunk, which is much prettier and a more vigorous plant than you would get if you planted tons and tons and tons and tons of, individual seeds all together in a community plant pot. There you go, golden cane palm.